Hello, everyone. It is Monday, the 14th of August, 2023. I think I've been forgetting to say that in my other live videos. And I hope this does get streamed on Rumble. I am, it says right here that we're having trouble streaming your destination. I don't know if I'm still going live or not. I don't know how to even check this. Bear with me, people. I just want to see if there's any way that I can see if I'm live on my my own channel on Rumble. So I don't see it. Anyway, it's still recording, so I'll just keep the video and then see if I can save it at the end and go from there. So I hope that everyone had a good weekend. I could have had a better weekend, I'm not gonna lie. And yet again, it's a very lonely, I guess, cycle of life being in Ottawa when you're speaking out against all the bullshit that a lot of my colleagues and peers and people who used to be my friends are still pushing. And on that note, Helen Bruce, who's Ottawa Police Services, she does have a an open trial hearing starts today, and it's going to be a week long over her trying to do her job and was trying to share information to her supervisors and chief of police, Chief Slowly at the time, Peter Slowly, and her and other people that I know and have worked with on other contracts. They were also trying to share information regarding the therapeutics, the rollout, and when kids ended up ultimately, unfortunately, passing away, and just like the timeline with when the parents were inoculated or the child was inoculated was very suspicious. And because she was trying to ask questions to do her job, she was reprimanded, suspended, and things like that just because of this information got leaked out is what they're trying to say. So it'll be really interesting to see this trial. I'm going to support her, and it's an unfortunate because like I'm going to a location that has also um dicked around with me as well, right? So like I keep saying, like the women in the first responder type, analyst type, consultant type uh positions, we are the ones that even within, we are the ones that get vilified, character assassinated, stalked, harassed, threatened, raped, all of that stuff, and up on or thrown out the window, right? So like even me with what I've been dealing with for the last couple of years, I've shared a little bit online, like also getting stalked and harassed just in the last couple of years, and people trying to break into my home and following me around my like areas that I would frequent, and all terrifying stuff, and admitting to me that they were like watching my stories and knew where I lived and were always at my house. Creepy stuff. And um and i and, and this is information that I was trying to get help with for people that I've worked with before, even special forces or ex special forces, or even in the infantry and stuff like that, like people that I've gone and served with, even overseas, and I've buried people that I've loved overseas in friggin' war, and these people didn't want to help me with this stuff because of who was involved, right? And it's men, and it's still a bros code, no matter if they have less time in than the women that they're harassing and stalking and or assaulting or harming. And it's just unfortunate that there's literally no loyalty to women in this industry. And this is what I wanted to talk about, uh, and not about women being victims and or going in and lowering standards for women. None of that. I completely say that there should not be different standards for men and women. There was none when I was going in, and if they were, it was just the basic fitness tests before courses or for training exercises or whatever to keep you current and assessed. And I blew those tests out of the water. Like I have multiple awards of being like the top athlete, like not only like at RMC but also West Point, and multiple training things that I've done where I've excelled in, and so I don't even know where I was going with that. And I don't mean to brag. I don't know why I'm saying that. It's just because like there's good quality women in these positions as well, and we are the ones that are actually on the front lines, risking our lives and our careers, even when we're trying to speak out on the truth, right? And when it goes against the majority, when the majority like of these alpha men that you're with like don't want what you're saying to get out, like they don't care if you're a woman or not. And like this is what I've been saying. Like even Helen Bruce, she's gone through a lot of backlash for trying to share truth and information about the therapeutics that we are now finding out more and more that they've caused a lot more adverse side effects and harm and excess death and other health conditions. And even the original trials, I keep repeating this: 4.6% of people, and I've shared this on these videos before too, and social media for years. contracted COVID through the therapeutics, and this was a healthy demographic, ladies and gentlemen, and it's there. So just look at the original trials like that I've shared, that other people have shared, and if you haven't even looked at them, and you're still someone that's trying to push these vaccines, then you're an idiot. Like I'm just over it now. I know I'm so spicy this morning. It's just again like all my conversations again this weekend like revolved around men who look like friggin' celebrities, either in the community or internationally. And these are men that have either embellished and or lied or exaggerated things that they've done. And just and the messaging is good in a couple of cases. So it's like I don't really care what the reputation is, that the information that is being shared is legit and important. And so then you just like, you gotta don't take the baby out with the bathwater or whatever. So I'm just like thinking of specific conversations in my head, and I'm trying to censor myself because I still have top secret government clearance, and I'm still like in the industry, and I'm still an analyst, and just like not getting my contracts like I used to because of everything that's been going on, essentially, right? And there's still like Canada's still so censored. We still have people that believe that we did good, and that the people that were leading us through like the planned demic, that they did a good job. And so like it just blows my mind. And it's because CTV and CBC and censored media is telling them this. And this is why we have censorship bills right now, ladies and gentlemen. And I can't stress this enough. Like this is all like it's not part of a democracy or a democratic republic or yeah or a free society. And it never and it always has poor outcomes. And so the excessive deaths, Dr. John Campbell, see if I can share my screen. There's an easy way to do this. Let me see here. I just had it the other day. Maybe if I press present, was that it? Yeah, I'm talking to myself. It just takes a lot of bandwidth, so maybe I just kick myself out. Okay, so I'll share entire screen. I don't even care. Oh, or maybe I can't. Okay, so I hope you can see this. Let me see if I'll go back on StreamYard to see if you can see that. Yeah, okay. So Dr. John Campbell, he is a literal expert in his field, and he is a certified doctor, and he's been in the industry for decades. And he at the start, he was someone that was pushing for the therapeutic because of the information that he was getting and the edited and redacted scientific stuff that was not getting to him. And then really early on, even though he's double vaccinated, he regrets it. He's openly regretted it, and all the information that he has pushed out since shows that specifically that these therapeutics should not have been rolled out. They should not have been approved, especially for children. And now he's talking now more about the excess deaths, the lack of debate, like people being shut down, literal experts in their field, in like even in government and cabinet, when they take the friggin' time and at risk to themselves to get this information out to government, like these cabinet morons that just get shuffled. They don't get fired, or they resign, which means that they just they have like a really nice like signing bonus to go and like go back to like their friggin' yachts and friggin' palaces and friggin' cottages on the lakes that I don't even know. But Dr. John Campbell, he's out of the UK, and he again is someone that's an expert in the field. He is someone that is he has multiple different scientific dissertations or research papers or studies out there. He's been on multiple panels and committees. Again, he's actually done this job. He's been a doctor. He's like not like Theresa Tam and all these other liars that that literally went from a questionable education system to like right to panels and committees and stuff like that, and never actually practiced. I don't know if you could see this. Like I was going to go. Maybe I'll just stop. Anyway, important is here. So 2% of vaccine reactions reported. Excess deaths persists. Like he talks about all of this stuff, and this is just within the last 24 hours, as you can see. And of course, people in Canada are not going to see this information because I'm still getting people even now that are that still believe in Canada. I'm like, get on a VPN, a virtual private network browser, and where you can like I don't know, try to get around the all the censorship in Canada. And even Elon Musk is saying, oh, that there's nothing he can do about people getting censored within Canada because El Sheikh I forget what his name is. I should let's see if I can go on my history on the fly here and see what the guy's name is. But it's regarding the the march in September, the walk for freedom for Canada, peaceful, obviously. That people are trying to get out there because people are not in support of this tyrannical government. People are not in support of the people that are in cabinet. People are not in support of what's been going on. But people that are awake and fucking actually know what's been going on. And yeah, I go through so many videos. That's the thing. In the span of a freaking day. Oh yeah, and people were talking like while I'm looking at this, like people were also talking about that Tiffany girl from the plane, and I'm being led to believe that there are more like a lot of people involved. This is possibly like some kind of like another acting thing because there's people from other countries where there's like even Japan too, I believe, where people have done the exact same thing, and and it's just suspicious. Just like even with like the video footage like that people are showing. Um, God, what's that guy's name? Maybe if I could just bring and search his name. Anyways, there's a walk in September. And this guy's YouTube account got shut down when he just got on a mainstream media outlet just in the last 48 hours, and they shut down his Twitter. And then people tried to get Elon Musk to get his Twitter reinstated, and he refused to, essentially saying that it's because of like of being in Canada. But this is like what I mean, like you're bending the knee for a Canadian dictator, just like you'd bend the knee for Hitler or for other dictators, like you would actually do that. Like this is what I mean. Like people need to stand up and wake up and actually like make a stand for things and not just blame other people for um, so many different issues. I wish I could find this freaking video. Let me see here. Oh, what's that guy's freaking name? This is why people should have this stuff up first. Anyway, just more people within Canada getting censored. There is a walk for freedom where there are people of all different religions that are doing a walk, and it's essentially to stop. Anyway, it's for freedom, but it's also again because of the education systems. They see where it's going with like this woke agenda, and they're not for it. Like these, like there's a lot of books that I've shared too that are disgusting that children like should have no business seeing. And when there's drag queen happy hour and stuff like that within schools, like even like for like little children, and this is something that where if a woman did that, you know what I mean, it's seen as like it wouldn't happen, right? Like a stripper. Yet we have men dressed in drag, dressed even worse than strippers dress, like other than like never like in front of children. And how is this legal? And again, even with the parades now, how is it with like all this BDSM stuff, like and the nudity and all this other stuff? How is this legal um in areas where there's possibly children? There's more news on Fauci too. I highly recommend people take a look at the book that was read on him. I haven't read it, The Truth About Fauci, but I've been doing research on Fauci now for like many years, and like I know a lot of the disgusting trials that he has done or approved or funded on humans and on animals, and it's appalling, and just like how corrupt he is, and like the money that he like where it goes, and things to get funded, and again, this was like even with the Wuhan lab, ladies and gentlemen, it was a leak. It was gain of function, and it was planned, and even the dates. Like I've talked about this too with Claydex and like the tabletop, exercises like 102, and anyway. Try to see if I can see it. Oh, it was Clyde something. That was his name. Clyde do something. Maybe that's his name. Maybe it was a video from there. Maybe I'm getting some right here. Okay, let me see here. Maybe it got removed. Can't find it still. Anyway, I'll have to link it. I'm sorry about that. Because I wanted to give you guys the date in September that this was going to start, and it's all across Canada. Like people are going to be walking essentially to end grooming within the education systems, and even the like the cancel culture stuff and all the other stuff. People are talking a lot about aliens. I want to get into that stuff before I get into like the stuff about my theories about the North Pole and Mount Meru, Rufus Negris, or whatever you want to call it, and other things. But if people took a look at the videos that I've shared and or looked at the references that I've shared, like not only for videos online and documentaries, but also books and literal scientific experts or experts in their fields that are talking about this Earth being on a flat plane of inertia and assimilation. You are still stuck on this globe Earth model, and it's not. It's been repeatedly debunked. Debunked. Okay, so let me see if I can share this screen with you.
South Pole. This is just some simplex magnetic viewing film. What are the geometry of the torus and the hyperboloid? Let's try to explain space and counter space in simple. I've got a couple chalkboards. You got to
This
get
is Ken
serious.
Mueller.
You need 2 miniature chalkboards.
Ioria
We can actually
apophasis.
take a look at the magnet and put the magnetic
I highly
viewing film
recommend
on top of it.
checking
Here
this
you
guy
can
out.
actually see the plane of inertia right here. Here's one pole. Here's another pole. Of course, you know how it looks after hundreds and hundreds of videos. Underneath the supercell, a magnet doesn't actually have poles. Well, sure it does. Every magnet has a north pole and a south pole. Well, if it did, it would be located there. And if it were located there, then you could cut this magnet in half and you'd have a north pole side and a south pole side. But it doesn't work that way because you could cut it a million times if it were possible. And each, of course, slice would have a quote north pole and a quote south pole. What a magnet actually has is the inverse to counter space, which of course is polarity, which is a 3-dimensional S-curve. In other words, the plane of inertia, which is the inverse of magnetic centrifugal divergence, which of course forms the geometry of this. The toroid is a cross-section of a toroid or a donut shape, and this is of course what the magnetic field looks like, right? It's toroidal. It's a centrifugal divergence. Yeah, centrifugal divergence. This is the geometry of force and motion. And the opposite to that, let me move the magnet out of the way, would be the geometry of increasing inertia and acceleration. So you have the conjugate geometry, sorry if I don't draw this perfectly, on every magnet, which of course is this hyperboloid here, or an hourglass shape. This is the geometry of increasing inertia and acceleration. This is towards the plane of inertia, right? You notice it actually makes this interesting cross. And of course, I don't know if you know how much you know about the right-hand rule. And of course, I've got this a little bit messed up now. Let's actually flip the board over here. Here we can actually see the plane of inertia relative to, and it's the lowest pressure mediation or the maximum throw against, use the word throw, the maximum pressure mediation against which the centrifugal divergent magnetic and centripetal convergent increasing inertia and acceleration towards right here, the null point of counter space right here, the plane of inertia right here. This actually sits, here's the dielectric, which is the centripetal, and this is the centrifugal magnetic, this vector and this vector. Okay, right here. We have opposite to the hyperboloid and the torus, and these two are the conjugate geometries of the universe, the hyperboloid, the hourglass shape, and the toroid, or the donut shape. Opposite to those at 45 degrees and 90 degrees to the dielectric, but this is the only place where life exists. Let me actually wipe this out. I don't know if you've actually seen this geometry before, but most of the life on the Earth, you probably heard, exists along the equator. I wait for my chalkboard to dry here. And of course, you heard of a spiral arm galaxy, yeah, plane of inertia, and the equator of the Earth. the tropical zone.
Oh, you can't see it here, but he also has the golden ratio triangle, 137.5 on his hand, which also breaks out.
Zones are basically, what is it, 95% of the Earth's
And from that,
life exists. Or we
yeah,
could
the triangles
actually
on
draw
the
the
outside
same
of it, once you invert
plane
it,
of inertia
back,
in
that's
3 dimensions. I don't know if I could
6.
actually represent it. Looking down, we actually have the sun, and we have Mercury, Venus, Earth. We actually have this plane of inertia to the Earth, and here's the moon over here. Sits not only along this plane of inertia relative to the sun, but it also sits at a midpoint at a ratio of 1. This would be 0, and say like Jupiter would be way out here. I can't draw the chalkboard out that far, which would be phi cubed distance to the sun, and also 2 spiral arm galaxies. So let's actually take a look at this geometry in simplexity. And by the way, you need to become familiar with the right-hand rule. None of this will actually become, even slightly apparent or understandable unless you understand the right-hand rule. Right-hand rule is just simply saying pressure mediation, kind of like saying water flows down the tub in your bathtub when you pull the cork, right? Lowest pressure mediation is the water wants to seek the lowest point. That's the plumber's motto, is that crap flows downhill. I think that's the plumber's motto. Here we actually have increasing inertia and acceleration. Centripetal convergence, this of course is right along the hyperboloid here, increasing inertia and acceleration to the plane of inertia. Everything out here, of course, is space, space, space. These 4 S vectors are, of course, the 4 vectors of the toroid, the torus. If I were actually draw this out without making the chalkboard too busy, these would be the 4 vectors of space. To say magnetism and to say creates space, and also to say creates time, is one and the same thing. Here we have the actual vectors of counterspace, centripetal convergence, the actual geometry, and this conjugate geometry of the torus and the hyperboloid. The negative image of a torus is a hyperboloid, and the negative image of a hyperboloid is a torus. We actually have the vectors here of counterspace, but all life exists. You notice that this is 45 degrees, 45 degrees, 45 degrees, 45 degrees, 45 degrees, 45, 45. Yeah, I think I made that simple. The plane of inertia right here. This is the inverse. This is the lowest pressure mediation. In other words, this is the calm from the storm, the shelter from the storm. Trying to make a simple analogy that people can understand. Some places on Earth have really radical, like they're really windy and they're really stormy, and you need to build a shelter, and you want the best place, which would be like in a natural ditch or near a rock cliff, for example, like they have in some places in Ireland, where it's really windy. So you don't end up with bad storms and bad winds. This plane of inertia right here is the calm in the storm, analogously, where life exists, and life only exists along the plane of inertia. This is the calm in the storm between the toroidal centrifugal divergence of the magnetic and the centripetal hyperboloidal. Let me just draw out the hyperboloidal here, the hourglass shape. Yeah, I'm just going to draw out that one. Yeah, right here. I think you know what the donut shape is right here. This is the calm in the storm right here, where life exists. And everywhere we find life in the universe, and even on the Earth, and even on the solar system, is right here at the plane of inertia. It follows the right-hand rule perfectly. This plane of inertia is the calm in the storm, the lowest pressure mediation between these centrifugal divergent magnetic vectors and the centripetal convergent hyperboloidal vectors between the magnetic and the dielectric. And this is the most simplex geometry of the entire universe. It holds true from one end of the universe to the other. And it's this plane of inertia right there. And you can see it. A magnet doesn't actually have poles. Sure it does. Everybody knows that. You're smoking crack. What are you talking about? Of course a magnet has poles. Everybody knows a magnet has a north pole and a south pole. No, what actually defines polarity? Polarity is literally just the centrifugal divergence. It is the vector of space. Right here at the plane of inertia is where life is. This is the opposite of centrifugal divergence and centripetal convergence. This is the calm in the storm. Right here, this plane of inertia, right here, where all life exists.
Where all life exists, where we exist.
That's not to say you can't live out in the storm somewhere out here, but it's not desirable. Life doesn't actually want to sprout there. It's kind of like throwing seeds out in the middle of the Mojave Desert. You know, they might grow a couple inches in the rainy season, but really life doesn't grow there. You know, it can, but it doesn't flourish there. It doesn't live there. It doesn't want to live there. It's kind of like the same reason you don't see crap growing on the South Pole. You know, you don't see it growing there in Antarctica, do you? There's not much stuff down there. It's living, is there?
Anymore.
No, there's not.
Allegedly used to be
There's no reason for that.
There's even proof of that with like old petrified trees, tree stumps. I've shared that. Large. And I also believe that the Mount Meru is an ancient tree that was cut down. That's hollow, which is why like people believe this hollow earth stuff. But again, this is a simulation, but it's being projected on a flat plane of inertia. So what we're seeing is again with the firmament above and the dome. But where's it going with this stuff? Anyway, I forgot I was going to show you something. I just had it too. Let's see. I get faster at searching things, so I get used to this. And then I'll also have things up next time. I'm not sharing any more of this. Just confirm. So that right there is a huge, giant tree stump in Antarctica. It used to be well, some periods. Yeah, huge. But just like Devil's Tower and so many other areas in the world, a lot of these what we're calling mountains are ancient trees or older trees that were petrified and were cut down, poisoned and made not able to grow anymore.
The lowest pressure mediation or the calm zone between centrifugal divergence and centripetal convergence. And it is this simplex geometry right here. This is the geometry of space right here. These are the vectors of centrifugal divergence. This is the vectors of counter space right here, counter space. Vectors of counter space, and this is the opposite of both. And this is where this shit happens. Yeah. Genesis. And Genesis, of course, always starts right here. Yeah. Genesis starts here and it grows here. Yeah. Take a look at that closely because this is the diagram of the entire universe. All experiences in life, including life itself, comes out of a whole, right? The ears, the eyes, the nose, various orifices down below. Yeah. It all comes from right here. It starts here and it flourishes here at the plane of inertia. This is the two-dimensional. Of course, life is not two-dimensional, nor is centrifugal divergence, because as I told you countless times, the vectors of space is a three-dimensional S-curve. Yes, it's a three-dimensional S-curve. This actually explains geomagnetic precession. It explains phase shift. It explains a lot of stuff, but most people can't picture in their heads three-dimensional force vectors and field dynamics. Almost nobody can. There's a reason for that, because it's actually extremely simplex. I wish people could wrap their minds around it, but this This is the geometry of everything. Vectors of space, counter space, and the plane of inertia where life is manifest and grows and decays. It grows and it decays. Necessitatively so. Growth and decay. Kind of like charge and discharge. Capacitance, resistance, magnetic permeability, dielectric permittivity. Centrifugal divergence, centripetal convergence. Growth and decay. They all exist along these vectors. The conjugate geometry of the universe, which is the torus and the hyperboloid. Thanks for watching. Bye.
There's so much more I could talk. Okay, so, oh yeah, I got to end screen first. Stop screen. Okay, so hopefully that worked. Yeah, and I just wanted to go on to that note and just say that, like, within this simulation that's being projected on a flat plane of inertia, like, and with like the like hyperboloids and the torus or toroidal fields or whatever you want to call it, um, there's nothing leaving or coming in, right? And so like these freaking aliens people are talking about, these extraterrestrials or these aliens or whatever, like, ladies and gentlemen, these are people that, like, if there's more land masses, which I'm being led to believe there are, like, outside of the areas that were being shown on these fake ass maps that are being edited and tailored incorrectly for a reason. And they're not showing, again, like, land masses like beyond that. So if there's extra land, then these are extra terra, meaning land or earth, extraterrestrials, and we'd be like the inter or the inner terrestrials if we're like more in the center of the earth. And like, especially in Canada, being that we're like an access route to the center of the world, or the North Pole, which I believe, again, with the magnetic mountain that's there, that people are saying are 33 miles long. And like, and the people that go there, you have to be cautious of what you use to travel there, because if it's a magnetic mountain, again, it has like a huge pull. So if your ships are, metallic and or magnetic and or like in any way, like, you'll be pushed in. And I also believe that there's some kind of like a hollowed out area within that mountain. I think it's an ancient tree, maybe the tree of life that people are talking about, and with like a funnel or whatever you want to call it, just like a bathroom drain where like water gets maybe either pushed out or in. I think in, just by virtue of like the toroidal fields and stuff like that in the simulation, and then out within like these four great, like, river access points, whatever you want to call it, where they flow out and then towards the other land masses. And yeah, this is not something that I've heard yet, but I was talking with people that are on YouTube and or like that are experts in these fields, and they are along the same lines. Like, just in the last 24 hours, I've been talking to people about that, like, little experts, and and people that are leading edge on getting this information out there. Not John Hancock, or whatever his name is. That guy's a friggin' liar, whether he knows it or not. And the same thing with Bill, fake ass nice science guy, and Neil deGrasse Tyson or whatever. These guys are paid propagandists that are exploiting us. And I'm supposed to be going to this thing today to support like a friend that is of service to Canada and Canadians, and she's getting vilified and character assassinated, and and a hearing because she was trying to investigate the deaths of children that were likely or possibly correlated with the vaccines because of the rollout dates and stuff like that, and the timings and all. And like I've already said, like, even with Dr. John Campbell, who and Jimmy Dore, like, these people are speaking on this stuff. Jimmy Dore is not an expert, but he's using comedy to share information. Um, but Dr. John Campbell even saying that 2% of the side effects were reported, and we've shown proof of doctors and nurses and people that, that the whistleblowers, whatever you want to call them, that were saying that they were incentivized by financial benefits to call things to call things COVID, deaths COVID, and I've even shown ridiculous journalists on social media. I think this one was Australia, but like even saying like a friggin' guy that was murdered, they're saying it was a COVID death because like they tested him after he died and he had COVID. So this is like and it's the first time in history that people were diagnosed with dying with COVID and not from or of COVID. And and again, these are a lot like what a lot of people were trying to speak out on and getting censored within Canada. So I can't believe people are still thinking that this was a good thing. I can't believe Chrystia friggin' Freeland has not been fired yet and jailed. Nuremberg, ladies and gentlemen, even though that was fake ass trials too, and not really like people being held accountable that should have been held accountable. We should actually do good for our country, and learn from past mistakes, right? And don't reward incompetence and what I believe to be criminal incompetence. And I've shared proof and data now for years, and I've been right, ladies and gentlemen, on about even like economic policies and stuff like that. By these friggin' morons, and no one's doing anything about it. So like now like with what's going on in Peru, people were saying that there was aliens like in this like this community, and it turns out that it was fake, obviously, and they're saying that it was people that were dressed up as aliens and or as other beings, and or that like even like some accounts were saying too that one guy said that he was like shooting at it, and then like before it fell down it disappeared. And this is also stuff that happens, right? So in the past and what's happening now, humans are using other humans that have either been genetically altered or edited or that have been trained their whole lives, born into being like friggin', you know, higher level beings that don't look human, unfortunately, or maybe like it's because again, like this has been going on for so many friggin' years, and it's like people are still trying to get the most optimal humans for, unfortunately, things like war, because this is what funds a lot of these like these corporations and these heads of companies that are in now, and it has for thousands of years. And it's been the same families and stuff like that that have been pushing things like war and pharmaceutical solutions and all this other stuff, and lying to us about plagues and all this other shit too, because there's money in it, right? And the human trafficking piece, the drug piece, this is all stuff that unfortunately are the people that are heads of our departments that are supposed to be aware of this stuff. They're not going on all these tangents. And then when people try to speak out and show the obvious harm that like this stuff is causing on its citizens, what happens? I'm going for like trying to aim for like 9:30, so I should leave any like pretty soon to go support someone and be present in an area that triggers me, because I've already dealt out with my own harassment and my own like not like being a victim, honestly, in an area that this whatever you want to call it building is located, right? And it's unfortunate. It's because these people were covering up for men that are either still serving and or veterans, and again covering for people that are literal criminals. But it is what it is. Yeah. So energy. Sorry. Well, that too. So aliens. And if you're religious, then also in the Bible, like I've shown like multiple different Bible verses and stuff like that that show that even within the Bible it talks about flat Earth, stationary Earth. Okay, let's see if I can share this. Um, I'll get better at this. And again, I'm freaking banned on YouTube for like another 5 days at least, I think. Annoying again. And so I hope this actually makes it on Rumble, because I don't think I'm even able to show. Anyway, so let me just go back and stream just to confirm. Yeah, it looks like it's on. There we go. Okay, so Chronicles 1630. The world is firmly established; it cannot be moved. 1 Samuel 2:8. He raises the poor from the dust and lifts the needy from the ash heap. He seats them with princes and has them inherit a throne of honor. For the foundation of the earth are the Lord's. On them he has set the world. 4 quarters of the earth. He sits enthroned above the circle of the earth, not globe, not sphere, circle. And its people are like grasshoppers. He stretches out to the heavens like a canopy and spreads them out like a tent to live in. So inside the tent. Yeah, see, like boundary between light and darkness, the earth, and sees everything under under the heavens. Matthew 4:8 again. The devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. And that very high mountain could possibly be Mount Meru, Mount Olympus Nigris, Magnetic Mountain, whatever you want to call it. And again, there's so much like symbology in that as well. Not the horizon, out of the face of the deep, horizontal horizon. That's where it comes from. When the earth and all its people quake, as I hold his pillar sperm. Indeed, the world is established, firm and secure. It doesn't spin, ladies and gentlemen. So again, like this is all just more stuff that even in the Bible, and even Galatians 4:24, like just discussed that it's allegorical as well. There's truth in the Bibles and in the Quran and other religious texts. I've shared that as well. That they also talk about flat Earth and stationary Earth, and but yeah, I mean we're just so friggin' lied to. And go back to streaming because I should end this at some point. Um, yeah, fake alien invasions and stuff like that. This has happened before throughout history. And even where they were talking about orbs and like these aircraft and like these beings like coming towards their cities or their villages or whatever, and then disappearing as soon as they got close or going to touch them and reach out, and they were not able to actually do that, right? So we've had these advanced capabilities before. We certainly have them now, and you're seeing it like in New York and other areas where they're in I was going to say Abu Dhabi, but I was going to say I think Saudi Arabia as well, and um, God, what friggin' area? No, anyway, other areas where they have like more advanced technologies and capabilities, they're showing these holograms, and they can look like people. And then there's also AI that can be used to look like humans and simulate human characteristics and stuff like that. And then there's also humans that again have been um, evolved differently and or with genetic altering stuff done to them to make them look non-human anymore. Direct energy weapons. Um, I believe that this is what has been causing the fires, and this is why for the last couple of years I'm sharing videos about great fires, like even in Ottawa and New Brunswick and even within the U.S. and other countries in the world where where it looked like it had to have been like a beam or some kind of like again like directed energy thing. I've called them EMPs and other and whatever you want to call it, and you can look at my Rumble or my YouTube's well my deleted but I've been predicting and talking about this for years and warning like people about this. And I have my whiteboard too, where I've talked about this with these and again I've been sharing for years about the Great Fires. And I've also been sharing this with all levels of government and the people that are approving like the infrastructure developments and stuff like that in areas and the shredding of the trees and like the like I'm like look what's happening in Hawaii right now. I yeah, people are suggesting that this was like some kind of targeted directed energy like high heat um event that was intentional to make it where the property would be become like less valuable, and then the people would be displaced and stuff like that and or killed but like pushed out because like they're not able to rebuild or afford it and all this other stuff. And oftentimes to insurance companies they're not able to fully support the redevelopment or they just don't do it because they're working with these people as well. And then they get these properties at like a really low cost, and then like this will like rent it out and they'll own it, and then anyone that wants to go in these like these areas and live like is going to be abiding by their 15-minute city plans and rules and stuff like that. And then at some point when we talk about this stuff, I'm going on all these tangents, but like 15-minute cities, I talked about this for years too, even before they called it like the 15-minute city. Like I was saying that they're going to be like coordinating off people in sections, and they're not going to be able to like go in these areas, and like there's certain districts that are already divided in countries, and it's just a matter of like the slow roll. And if anyone thinks that we're not frogs in a pot right now, where the pot is boiling already, then you're whacked right out of your friggin' mind. Like and this is what I mean. Like when people like think that they're living like a comfortable life, just like the frogs in the pot, once things finally do impact people personally, like I mean, like it has to be like some kind of a cataclysmic event, then it's only then that people unfortunately wake up that have been like part of the problem, as in like just like blissfully ignorant and blind to what's going on and just being like, oh, this is okay, like blissfully like ignoring all the friggin' red flags that come up before societal collapses and stuff like that, and world wars and all that other stuff. And yeah, so we're weakening ourselves more and more. I have offered and volunteered my services to like the higher levels of government, like to take over friggin' Marco Mendicino's job or the governor general or some place where I can like impact like significant change with what's been going on. Like Brenda Lucky, who's head of RCMP, uh, like I was trying to give her information as well, and Wayne Eyre, the chief of defense staff, like multiple people that were heads of departments, and I was right. And I don't mean to say that as in like cocky or ego. I have none of that. I have been proven wrong. Like even with this like glow birds, like at one point, actually, I don't even know because I've always been skeptical, just like Eric Dubay says. And so a lot of things did not make sense, and I just dismissed it because, like, for me, it was not important in my life, and or it was like distracting and or impact or had the possibility of impacting my career and future and stuff like that. Which is why even with this flat Earth stuff, um, I would like this to get to the adults first, and have us look at this information. I've given my information also to the heads of Carleton University and on social media and stuff like that. And again, like no one's looking at the stuff, but it shouldn't be up to the like children to to be like looking at my channel to figure out like this should be like parents and education systems and our government that is giving people this information from people like Eric Dubay and David Weiss or Dave Weiss and Alex Gleason and so many others. And because this is all connected and it's all like a way of like implementing so many different concurrent distractions and diversions all over the world while while they're profiting, right? So like there's like again like there's all these different things going on with the war. It's a proxy war. It's like covering up like with money laundering and it's making like people's friends and families rich off of our taxpayers' dollars. And I've said this even I believe in yesterday's video too, but like even with agriculture, like within the US and in Canada, like there's now crops being grown that's utilizing our resources, our soil, our water, these things, and it's and people in and around those areas, like business owners that have been around or farmers that have been around these areas now for decades, if not thousands of years, um, they're getting people that are bullying them, like going into their places of business and or their homes and saying that they need to manage their water because they need more water for their profits. You know what I mean? Like for like this stuff that they're growing and shipping to other countries, right? And where have we seen this before? This is happening in Africa. This is happening in other friggin' areas. And because of stupid government people that have been like elected to make the decisions during various times, like that profited them. So look at people that have approved policies and stuff like that, and or business deals with people outside of our countries, and you'll be appalled. And it's again, it's a few European and other countries like China, stuff like that, like corporations and heads of corporations that are the ones that are doing this, right? So it's nothing to do with like a country against a country, none of that stuff. Or a skin color against a skin color, or a language against a language, or a religion against a religion. It's none of that stuff. This is a class war. And there's people like Vanguard and BlackRock and JP Morgan and Ford and so many other organized companies that have literally a track record for crimes against humanity. um and we're still funding them and supporting them, and it blows my mind. So we going on all these tangents, but I've tried to get help to get this information out, like I've said, within Ottawa, Canada. But again, I'm in the swamp of Ottawa or of Canada, and this is unfortunately where policies and stuff like that are implemented or decisions made, and we just have such a weak government right now at the top. Like it's just so weak, and ill-informed that until they get kicked out, vote of non-confidence or whatever, then we're gonna keep on getting more of this crazy stuff being thrown at us, um, while they take away our freedoms and privileges, and stuff like that, like in the process. And yeah, so yeah, I don't even know what to say about this stuff. Christy Freeland, like I'm willing to replace her. You could take a look at my resume if you want to. I guarantee it blows hers out of the water. And it's not even something that I want to do, right? I wanted to have a family by now and be baking and cooking in my kitchen and being in my garden, frolicking with my animals and my kids. But but again, because of like this narrative and stuff like that that's going on, and what's going on with our water systems and our air and our skies and our food, like that's also, and with this woke agenda, like that's also something that's being unfortunately taken away from me and many other people for this generation of family aged humans. And also porn is also destroying social interactions as well, and also enabling child human trafficking and women human trafficking, because yes, like human trafficking is huge, and yes, child trafficking is huge. It is also still second to women trafficking. And so this is what I mean. Like there's if you look at abductions or missing persons cases or so many other different things where people are not there anymore, you'll see how friggin' many thousands of people are actually taken every single year. And it would blow your mind, the stats. And we need to pay attention to this stuff. And I've already shared about the queen as well, and her husband and the monarchy being responsible too for the disappearance of children, and then and still not being held accountable, like being part of like hearings and trials, but like like we don't hear about this stuff in Canada, and it's unfortunate. So I do hope that I could possibly get on Joe Rogan or Sean Ryan, but they might also be controlled opposition. Maybe Joe too, like being the average Joe, maybe and maybe that's not even his real name. And it's used again to like dupe us into thinking that he's like one of us, and he's just someone that's just like the average everyday like regular citizen, that just wants to like question like what's going on, but like will also deliberately duping and deceiving us on like the bigger um higher hanging fruit, or whatever you want to call it, that completely collapses this house of cards. And Sean Ryan has had, you know, guests on as well. And again, the reason why I talk about these people, I don't care about being rich or famous. Like as you can see, like I've tried different ways of getting out there so that I can get this information out there, the stuff that's going to help humanity. And I've not been perfect at it, but I'm also not getting supported. Like when I'm trying to come across, um, like the other men in my field. Again, it's there's still very much like there's this still a pushback when a woman in the field is more successful and or like more decorated and or more intelligent and or fit. Like there's still that insecurity, and so we are still cast aside because like we are just like the proof that women can succeed in various organizations, and it's not just a boys club, nor should it be, especially if women have proven that they're able to fit the criteria, the physical fitness piece, as well as the education piece, and so insecurity too, where like I'm a small blonde attractive female, and like I feel like there's other women as well in my field that are very attractive, and or like in other fields, or other careers. But the first responder types, I feel like the gorgeous ones are the ones that are um they get the most heat from everyone. And we all play the victim. So maybe this is just me looking at this as a like victim mentality, and I need to like reconsider this, but just hear me out a little bit. It's just that in my own experiences and the experiences of like a lot of women that I've talked to, like and they're still rare, like they're still not the majority in like the law enforcement, fire departments, nor should they be, and in the military, especially in the combat arms trades. This is something where it's like a very select group of people in general that should be meeting the qualifications and certifications needed to be in those positions, but it should have nothing to do again with like skin color, language, gender, biological sex, or whatever, and everything to do with the competency of people. Because like throughout history, there have been women, again, like not battalions, oh, like that too, but like like in like where it's 50% women in combat, but there have been women, individual women, or the rare women that have been part of like battles or wars, like even just like the strategy and operations piece, maybe not even on the battlefield, maybe even just like the strategy operation piece, that have benefited, you know uh, like the people that they were being of service to. Okay, so we need to like also, and also like getting different opinions as well. Like women, there are differences in like our hormone levels even, and our like we're more, generally speaking, more compassionate and creative, and we're more people um focused or centric, and then men are more, generally speaking, like in like a thing or material, like thing focused. And then when you look at the behavioral spectrum, the left and right, and like extremes, men by and large, like the large majority, are the ones that are the more aggressive, more violent, you know um people, like I guess on the on the antisocial behavioral spectrum, and women, generally speaking, the more like on the far left, where they're more easily duped into, doing things that cause harm to other people too, but it's in a more indirect way, unfortunately. And we've seen crazy psychopath women as well that have approved and or or actually even tortured like prisoners of war, whatever you want to call them, and unfortunately people that were part of concentration camps, even during the the friggin' occupation by psychopaths in Europe. There have been accounts of even like women that were torturing and abusing, people that were like innocent people that were enslaved, and it just blows my mind that it's still happening today, even in China with the Uyghurs or Uyghurs, however you want to pronounce it, and then multiple other groups that are born into slavery, and they're born that way in order to be absurd, like they're born to work, and we don't see that, and it's coming to Canada, and I've mentioned this before, but it's important, and we need to look at who's buying up our minds, and and where they're located and stuff like that, and what the plans are for these, and who is going to be either brought in to work these mines and other companies, and or like who from here are going to be used like in a mass amount in order to exploit our resources, guys. Oh yeah, and I was talking about the taxes again. Like we're like with what Chrystia Freeland and these idiots are doing is they're putting together, I don't even know what you would want to call it, contracts in place if they haven't already done it, that we're never going to be able to pay these taxes back, and it's always set up in a way in all these countries where they've actually been able to like make this work, um where like no matter how much you try to pay off any form of debt, like you're not even touching the interest, and people have been in this situation before too. I have as well, where like if you max out a credit card, um and for me it was because of not any reason of my own, but because my ex was R9 terrible credit, and it's not something I was told. I was lied to about that, and so during the divorce, because he was lying to me and cheating on me and insane, um, I had to take the money. I co-signed credit cards to try to boost his credit, and then once he left me and our dog and our home, the home that I just bought for us, um, I had to incur that debt into my credit card that was not maxed out. And so it was like literally like $30,000 because it was two credit cards that he just wasted on flights to see his girlfriend and all his mistress or whatever you want to call it, and his friends, and then also sharing trade secrets about the place we were working at, which he was only working at because I literally did all the paperwork stuff for him, and uh, and was already there. Uh, Gets so annoying. Oh yeah, and so like there was a period of time where I was just going through so much, and without any financial support or any other support, that no matter how much I was paying off, like even if it was like $500 a month, I wasn't even paying off the interest. $500 a month, and it was still just like more and more and more of like getting tacked on, right? And so like until you're able to like take a huge chunk out of that, and guess what, and then banks also and credit card companies, they also increase your credit card interest rates too if you miss a payment, because they say like, oh well, they like now you're seen as a liability, so like this is our way of like you're high risk, so like this is what we're gonna like, this is, it's so criminal when they should be doing the opposite of that, right? And or anyway, it is what it is. So this is my example of countries too, right? So we're going to be paying billions of dollars probably on taxes if we go down these friggin' routes that Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau morons and Marco Mendocino morons and Wayne Eyre morons don't realize. And it's going to be like us, the citizens, not you and me. It's going to be our children or our children's children that are going to be the ones that are going to be working these friggin' mines that we see in friggin' Africa, where kids like under the age of friggin' 5 are working there. It just blows my mind that people are not tracking just how friggin' like these cycles keep on continuing. And you know what? I'm going to leave it at there at that because I'm already almost an hour in. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful day.